If you want to learn how to make these flaky, rich, buttery biscuits, please keep watching. These are a go-to recipe that are super easy to put together, and you could freeze them if you're not going to bake all of them. And they work really well. And they're so fluffy, and I just think it's a great recipe. To start, we are going to use cold butter straight out of the refrigerator, and you're going to grab a sheet tray and line it with parchment, and you're going to use a box grater, and you're going to grate all of the butter. And what this does is it kind of ensures that there's all these nice little fluffy layers in the biscuit dough, and that's really what gives it its buttery, rich flavor and texture, and it kind of helps you not have to overwork the dough when you're mixing it, because the butter is already so in small little pieces. It really combines into the flour really well. So I'm gonna grate up all of my butter, and this is going to take a little bit of time, but I'm telling you guys it's worth the wait. So once you have your butter all grated, you're going to stick it in the freezer for about 20 minutes to ensure that everything's really nice and cold. And so once your butter is all grated up, you want to spread it out on the sheet tray so that there's no big clump of butter. You want to do it as evenly as possible, and this is kind of what you're looking for. We are going to get started with our dry ingredients. In a bowl, add your AP flour, your sugar, your baking soda, your baking powder, and salt. And you're going to give all of this a really good whisk just to ensure everything is combined, and you're going to set aside. Now that your dry ingredients are mixed in well, you are going to grab your butter that has been freezing for 20 minutes minimum, and I'm just going to pour it over my dry ingredients, and I'm going to use my hands and press the butter into the flour, and it'll create these little pea like sort of coated butter. And once you get it into this sandy, pebbly texture, then you are ready to add your sour cream and buttermilk. And you don't want to overwork your dough. So at this point, you kind of just want to mix everything very lightly together, and we are going to pour this mixture over. We're going to pour this mixture onto our countertop to finish mixing it up. I'm using a rubber spatula to kind of, ensure that there's no big wet spots. And I'd rather work with a drier dough. So this is looking good. So I didn't even work it too much, and it's fine if there's all this flour coming out. We are gonna do some folds, and it's gonna bring everything together. So now that I have all of it on to my workspace here, I'm gonna press it sort of into a rectangle, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to divide it into 3 pieces, and I'm going to stack it one on top of the other. And this is really what gives it its flakiness. And as you see, some of the dough gets stuck, and that's fine. We're going to work this in so it won't, the pieces will eventually all come together. So I split the dough in half and I stacked it on top, and now I'm kind of pushing down and using a bench scraper to kind of like push the dough together so it kind of tightens up the block. And now I'm going to divide the dough into 3 pieces and then stack it on top. And then doing the same thing, you can use a rolling pin or you can use your hands. I'm kind of using my hands as I'm kind of working through that wet, ingredients. And now I'm going to go in with the rolling pin just to kind of flatten it back out. And then do the same thing, cut it into 3 pieces and stack on top. And, you can kind of press in some of those dry pieces together. This is kind of like a rough thing. There's no pretty way of doing this. It's just kind of how you get it going. So I'm going to do this. So now that I have my biscuit dough already folded and flattened, I'm going to roll it out to about a 1/2 inch thick, and it should kind of yield you, anywhere between, 10 to 12 inches. And once you have that, I like to get a biscuit cutter, and I just like to dip it in flour just ever so lightly, and then I'm just pressing straight down. Try not to twist your biscuit, because that's really what kind of gives the biscuit the big lift, and so that it's flaky, and you could just push it out. And your scraps you can just kind of squish back together, and also again roll it out to you can kind of flip it over as well, and then kind of press it together using your hands, and then you can cut again with your cookie cutter until all of your dough is pretty much done. And the nice thing about this is that you can put it in the freezer and only bake off, if you're doing breakfast for yourself and your partner, you can bake off 2 muffins or 4 or 6, and then you can just freeze the rest. And that way you have muffins biscuits on hand, or you can bake them all. It's really up to you. So once you have them all cut up, you can put them on a sheet pan, and I'm not going to bake them all off. I'm going to freeze them like this and then transfer them to a newer sheet pan lined with parchment. And I kind of want, 2 to 3 inches apart into the biscuit. And then I'm just going to melt a little bit of butter and brush them with butter. And my oven is already preheated at 425 degrees, and I'm going to bake these for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to lower the temperature down to 400 after I rotate the biscuits, and then I'm going to bake it for another 15 minutes. And I'm going to pull them out and let them cool for about 5 minutes before serving, if you can hold it. If not, you can just eat them straight out of the oven. They are so delicious. So my biscuits are going in, and it's been about 25 minutes since I have put them in, and they are perfect. So let's break into them. I kind of let them cool for about 5 minutes, and I'm grabbing it. Yes, I've been baking for so many years. My husband says that I have no sensitivity with my hands, so you guys don't do this. But I mean, I would pull a hot bread out of the oven, and not feel a thing. I don't recommend it, but that's just me. So I'm kind of giving you guys a close-up on how they look, and then let's kind of crack this biscuit open. So as I'm pulling it apart, it's super fluffy, and you can just tell that it's just going to be buttery, and this is going to taste so yummy. I can't wait to spread it with some butter and jam. I hope you guys liked this video. These biscuits were super easy and they're really fun to make. And they really just can, you know, elevate a breakfast or your weekend. And you can have, you know, extra biscuits in the freezer if you would like, just to have on hand. And it's just a fun recipe to make. So I hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I will answer them as best as I can. Thank you. See you guys next time.